Greetings, Earth enthusiasts. If you ever wondered about the incredible perspectives our planet has to offer from high above, you're in the right place. I am Dr. Clive Coetzee, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this captivating journey into the world of remote sensing. Welcome. And please remember to like, subscribe to, and share this video. Thank you.
In the previous video tutorial, we played around with the visualization parameters of the three images or the three bands, i.e. snow cover, elevation, and slope. And the idea was to highlight specific features, especially features relating to where there's high levels of snow cover. And so we played around with the visualization parameters, add colors, did some all sorts of things to that using the function within Earth Engine. And I think the image came out actually quite nice, and it's quite easy to see that there's a snow elevation and slope, the relationship. So that sort of virtual raster makes it quite easy for us to look at selective or relevant features. In the previous video tutorial, I mentioned quickly that I want to work on the built-in features of Earth Engine, which is in our docs layer. So this is what I want to spend a little bit of time with in this particular video tutorial, because these are built-in features that generate specific images using the algebra within the functions itself. Okay, so these functions, functions, you don't have to generate any things yourself. You just apply these functions, and then they generate the associated or the related images and data and statistics. So that makes life quite a bit easy. So yeah, let's quickly play around with this. So we've generated one of them already, which is the slope, and you see there's the ee.terrain.slope. Remember, input in this case is our band or our image. Okay, this is our image. So where it's in brackets image, input, you just add in elevation, because that's the band that it refers to. It's looking for your DEM. You can only use this with your DEM images or image collections. Okay, so that's quite important. So let's, for example, say I want to generate the aspect ratio of my region of interest. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I want to generate the aspect ratio. So the first thing that you're going to ask is, what is this aspect ratio? What does this thing mean? Okay, so let's click on it, left click, and it says it calculates aspects in degrees from a terrain DEM. The local gradient is computed. Okay, so the aspect is a gradient. Okay, so that's typically similar to a slope. Okay, so the aspect is a gradient. As I said, it is in degrees. Okay, so sounds familiar to a slope. So let's see what this particular function looks like, or what the associated image of this specific function looks like. Okay, so let's have a look and see. If I left click on it, I just basically copy that piece of script. So I copy that, I close it, and I paste it within my script. Okay, now what's important? I must generate a variable. So I'm going to generate a variable, and for lack of imagination, I'm just going to say aspect equals. Okay, so I'm generating an aspect variable using my aspect function from Earth Engine, and I'm going to use the elevation band as my input. Okay, I'm going to use the elevation band as my input. Now, we don't know what the visualization parameters of this is. Okay, we don't know. So let's park that for now. Obviously, it's a singular image, so I don't have to reduce it, etc., etc. So all I want to now do is I want to add this to my layers, add this to my map, and then from there we'll take it on. Okay, so I'll just copy that specific script, I paste it here, and I'll just change the elevation to aspect. Okay, and then because I don't know the visualization parameters, I just use curly brackets, and I call this aspect. Okay, so what I'm doing with this curly brackets, I'm saying to the editor, you decide on the color scheme. Okay, because I just don't know what the minimum values will be. I don't know what the maximum values will be. I don't know, therefore, the color scheme or the visualization parameter. So I'm not gonna guess it now. I'm gonna ask Earth Engine to generate me, and from there, I'm gonna then generate my own visualization parameters. Okay, so I'm gonna calculate the aspect. Remember, it's in degrees, so most probably somewhere between 0 and 90. And I'm going to add this now. Okay, so let's press run. Sorry, I should have pressed save. So press save. Let's run it. And I'm going to unselect all these other images, all these other layers, and I'm only going to generate my aspect ratio. Okay, so this is how this particular one looks like. Okay, so let's put it on our satellite image and see if we can see anything. Okay, so we can see there is our mountainous areas, and you can see this is the aspect layer. But this is in a grayish color. It looks as if it indicates the steepness or the flatness or the gradient. You can see, for example, in this area, it's easy to see. If I click, let's say, on my inspector there, let's click on that and see snow cover is virtually 0. Okay, elevation is 526 meters above sea level. It's a fairly flat area, and you'll see the aspect ratio is 63. That's now this particular area. So let's quickly have a look and see. This is this area here, which is okay. So let's quickly look at something. Let's quickly zoom in. This looks like a fairly steepish area here. Let's look at this. Okay, this interesting area. This you can see it's clearly a mountain. So let's have a look and see how this looks there. And let's, if we press on this item here, let's on this item and see what it says. You can see the aspect is, the slope is quite steep, 34 degrees. Elevation is quite high, and the aspect is 102. Okay, but let's go to a flat area and see what, okay, this is a flat area here. Let's see what that looks like. So that's a flat area here. You can see the aspect area is 180. That's interesting. The slope is 4. Aspect ratio is 80. So it seems, if you ask me, that okay, there's the slope and there's the aspect ratio. So we'll have to dig a little bit in and find out exactly what this aspect ratio means. You know, it says the local gradient is computed. So let's quickly, we can Google it. But what I want to do is to say, okay, this gray and white thingamajig doesn't look too pretty. Let's add a little bit color on it. So from our inspector, it looks like it's going to be, you know, it can be up to over 100. So I'm going to copy the standard visualization script. I'm going to paste it in just before my function, slope function. I'm going to make that, let's say, 100. And I'm going to make this orange and make this blue. And let's see what the color scheme is now. And let's quickly do this. Select, hide these other ones and see what our, sorry, I should have added this now into our add layer function. There we go, add layers. Okay, so let's take select those, see what this looks now. Oh no, this doesn't look, this, oh, that's 10. No, that's slope. Sorry, I must make that as we see now. I want it to be too quick. Aspect, and I'm gonna make this 100, and it's gonna be aspect with aspect I want to be too quick, so therefore I'm making mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes. You mustn't make mistakes. Save and run, save and run, save and run. Let's quickly now see what this looks like now. And see if something interesting turns out. Okay, so green and blue would be low levels, and orange and red would be high aspect ratios. So this is what this now comes out. So let's have a look and see if we can, if we put it on a satellite, you can, let's go in and see what the blue is. Let's have a look and see what the blues. Okay, can't really see much here. Okay, so let's have a look. There's a mountain, low levels. This is a shading side. Let's have a look and see aspect ratio. Mostly blue. So I think what we need to do is to go to Google and just ask what is the aspect ratio. Aspect in Google Earth Engine. Aspect degrees from a terrain DM, the local grade is computed. Okay, it's just still the same things. Aspect, how the values are interpreted. Let's go terrain function measured from north to east. Okay, how are the values, for example, are the cell degrees measured from north to east? Okay, I think you get the idea. We need to do a bit of research in terms of what does this aspect ratio means. To be very honest, I'm not too sure about it. You can see there's some patterns that's developing around here, but it looks not something that well, maybe it's usable, but I can't say for now. What I'm more interested is the hillside. That to me, I think, is an important one. Okay, so again, let's have a look and see. Hillside input, azimuth and elevation. Now it has 270 and 45 is the defaults. So let's assume we accept the default. So I'm going to go hillside, similar to what I did before. Let's quickly make some space here, and I'm going to paste it in as is. And I'm going to say again, lack of imagination, hillside equals terrain hillside. My input again is elevation. Okay, so we put elevation in, and there we go. There's my elevation, and I'm going to add it to my layer. And again, I'm going to use curly brackets because I simply don't know what the visualization parameters would look like. So I'm just using curly brackets. So it is hillside that I'm going to add. So I need to make sure that I select that in my layer, and I call that also hillside. Okay, hillside. Okay, so let's have a look and see what hillside means. If we go to the tutorial hillside, wait for it. Compute a simple hillside from a DM. Now that doesn't elevation, illumination degrees from north. Okay, illumination evaluation. So it gives you a number from north and from elevation in degrees. So again, if you're not sure, we'll have to Google it a bit. Anyway, let's see what it looks like. So let's run it. Remember to save. Let's quickly unselect these other variables, and there's my hillside. Okay, so that gives me also a color like this. Let's use the inspector, click on that. So there's the hillside is 239. If we click on that specific location there, let's have a look and see what that means. 179. If I do this location there, I use 178. So low-lying areas looks like it's ones, and then the high elevation areas. Okay, so it's still thinking, mustn't be too fast on it. It's 139, so that seems to be 139. Let's see, that's 117. Let's look at that space there from north to south. That's north. North is 182. So north, this is east. So east and west and south. Okay, but anyway, it seems like it's all the same in terms of the height. Now again, I want to add some visualization, so they're all seemingly around the 180s and stuff. So let's quickly have a look and see its visualization parameters. So I'm gonna just make some space there, and let's add it in there, and we call it hillshade. Let's take our time this time. Don't go too fast and make errors. Let's make it 100 and 200. Let's do that. Let's do it green, blue, make it orange and red, and then I'm gonna do it in here. I'm gonna paste it in there, hillside vis, and hillside vis. Let's quickly run it, and now let's see what this one, let us know what this one means. See if that, okay, so that is the hillside. So that's, yeah, that looks quite interesting, to say the least. If I make this up, let's put the satellite image on. You can see again there's something there. So the blue indicates sort of the shaded area. Have a look. The blue indicates the shaded areas. You can clearly see that. So that would be on the eastern, western, western side. You can see the western side. You can see there's the western side of these mountains. If I take this away, you can see this is the western side. So it seems like, yeah, so that's definitely, so stands to reason that that would be also the more snowy area. So let's quickly put the snow on there. Okay, we'll have to overlay it. Yeah, it does. Okay, we'll have to overlay it a little bit better to indicate it and stuff. But anyway, we'll get there. So we'll get there. I'm just sort of playing around with the features in terms of terrain. So that seems quite, and then we've got one more that I want to use, and that's the product. The product calculates a number of things. Okay, it does the slope, the aspect, and a simple hillside. So it does three things into one. Okay, so let's have a look and see what that looks like. So I'm going to go terrain. Okay, I'm going to go copy. And then I'm going to go terrain. Now, I'm going to call a variable. Call it terrain. And I'm going to say equals my terrain. And then I'm going to add it now. This contains 3 images or 3 bands. So therefore, I'm not going to add a visualization parameter. I'm only going to add the curly brackets, so that Earth Engine needs to sort it out for me. We can come back to this a bit later, and I'm going to write. Okay, so let's quickly see what the, oops, oh, my input, I haven't given it the band, and that is elevation. So let's add that in. I'm going to run it. Let's unselect all these things, these images, and see what the, and there is the terrain image, which is using that terrain.products function. If I go there, that means it calculates a slope, aspect, and simple hillside. So if I press on this inspector, okay, so let's say any place here, I'm just going to use. So I should go, see, there's the elevation. So if I go to hillside, there's the elevation. There's the slope 7, there's the slope. There's the aspect, there's the aspect, and there's the hillside. So the terrain one calculates all 4 values, so that you don't have to do them individually. See, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 individual images, and therefore there's 4 individual values. But if you do the terrain, you can generate all 4 of them in one image. Okay, and obviously you can then use this terrain to generate the individual images as well. So if you want to generate all of them in once, you use the terrain. If you want to use them in separate, you use the individual functions themselves. Okay, so we can play around. So let's go to the terrain now, and let's play around with that and see what we can do here. So let's go and do stretch. You can see there's the 3 bands: elevation, slope, and aspect. So let's say apply and see what that looks like. And that is what that specific image looks like. You can clearly see that if we unselect it, let's go to satellite, then this dark area is low-lying areas. If you unselect it again, you see this is farmland here. You can see, so it is this, and the red is obviously mountainous areas. If we click on it, on any of the blue areas, that should have very low elevation, very flat land, aspect ratio, etc. So yeah, and obviously the red. So that's stretch that way. So stretch 2. Let's say apply. Let's move it here, and very similar. Also the blues and the reds. And let's do that one there. Okay, but they're all roughly looking pretty much the same. Pretty much this is very, very dark. This is interesting. How this one looks. Okay, you can see. Yeah, so now if we, let's say if we do this and we overlay it with snow, so let's make this one, let's decrease it to that, and let's see what it looks like if we overlay the 2. Interesting. You can see where the high snow is. It's on this, let's quickly go and say snow, it's on this. You can see how the red mimics the mountain areas. You can definitely see how the red mimics the mountain areas. So if I unselect it, okay, you can see the red, how the red mimics the mountainous areas. If I go in, zoom in, and you can see the darker the red is the hillside stuff. You can see the dark red. So if we click on that one there, you can see that's the dark area there. Let's quickly bring it in. You see the slope is 23 aspect. Snow is quite high. Slope is quite steep. Aspect, hillside. Okay, and then you've got all of these images, the values collected. So let's quickly go stretch 3. Let's do that. See what this sounds. Okay, that's just more pinkish colors and stuff. And we can obviously swap these bands around. So you can do that as well. So let's have a look and see. But it basically just gives us the same stuff. Okay, you see the almost pinkish color. You can see almost this pinkish color. Now this is starting to look a little bit more 3D-ish. You can see the slope of it more clearly, and you can see the darker side of it more clearly. So this is starting to look quite interesting. Now what we obviously now need to do is put the snow cover over it, and you can see there's the snow cover. Okay, so you can clearly see the snow cover around it. Let's quickly just take the snow cover up. You can see the snow cover is around this area. You can see here. Have a look again. You can see there. It's all around this roof. Okay, so let's quickly. You can see it's all around this roof where the snow is. You can clearly see it. Let's quickly go there. Click on that one there. Snow. Quite a lot of 341. Elevation not that high, interestingly enough. Slope not too bad. Aspect ratio, hillside. So you can clearly see that the snow cover is following this ridge. Again, let's have a look. You can see it's following this ridge. Let's have a look and see where there's more. Okay, let's have a look at this side here. Again, it's following this ridge. So it's definitely seeming, if you ask me, okay, it's definitely following the dark side or the ridge side or the westerly side of these mountains. That seems to me quite evident. See there again, there's the mountain. You can clearly see the shade, the shaded area of the mountain, and you can see that's where the snow falls. That's where the snow is. Let's click on that one, and we'll see quite a lot of slope again. Elevation, this is quite high. Slope, aspect ratio, and hillside. Okay, so let's have a look at another area. Where can we go? Where's more? We've looked at this ridge. We've looked at that ridge. Let's have a look at this side here. What's happening here? So again, well, looks very similar again. Let's quickly have a look and see. If we take a look there again, more on the southerly side, but again on the shadow side. You can see that again on the shadow side. Let's have a look and see if we can find one more. Let's see if we put on, we've been through that one there. Let's go out and see if we can find another. What's happening here? Okay, there's again another one here. There's a bit of snow around this area here. Let's have a look and see if we, okay, again, it looks on this side here. Let's have a look and see what that numbers look like. Let's click there. Snow 216, slope, aspect ratio, and hillside. Okay, so we can also obviously, remember we still have our slope. We still have our slope images that we can overlay. You can see there's our slope images being overlaid. Now we need to just again bring our slope images down. Let's make it 30 and say apply. See what happens now. Okay, so there's our slope images. Okay, where's that other one that's so clear? I think it's more to the bottom. There we go. Let's have a look and see this one here. Okay, so yes, this looks, okay, so now you can clearly see where these ones are located. The snow is located. Clearly it's located. You'll see the red here. Remember, the red is the slope. So it's not on very steep slopes. It's on fairly on the dark side, on the flat side. If you want to call it this, you can see there's the slope. It's 8. It's not very high. If we look at the slope here, let's quickly just wait for it to. You can see if we do. You can clearly see the slope. It's not where the slope is. If we do that, let's click there. You'll see there is very little, and you can see the slope is quite high. Hillside is 77. So we can clearly starting to see some definite patterns, and that's the beauty of working with working with all these color schemes, is that we can starting to isolate features and focus and drill down into specific features, and that makes it quite neat. And it's all playing around with the visualization parameters. Now, this is by no means optimum and by no means the best fit, but I think the idea is just to put it forward so that you can see how to play around with these functions and tools within Earth Engine, so that you can isolate specific features. Remember, in this case, we're looking at snow. Okay, we're looking at snow cover, and we're trying to identify the features or the characteristics of a location to have snow, or what are those characteristics that is conducive for snow cover. And that is what we're doing. So first of all, obviously snow is very terrain specific. So that's why we're using all these terrain functions, is to isolate terrain characteristics and say, okay, if the terrain or your region have these terrain characteristics, most probably it will snow. So this is the terrain specific characteristics. Now what we want to do now is to look at the climate related characteristics. So we're now building a model, or we're building a picture of our region of interest, in terms of whether it's going to snow there or not. So the terrain is important, but also the climate, the temperatures, rainfall, and all of these sort of things. So we're going to bring those things into our equation as well, so that we keep building and building and building and expanding, and we're adding layers and layers, and we're blending these layers so that you get sort of one picture that captures the main characteristics of snow cover. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. I think this looks quite neat, and you can clearly see that you can actually see there's the mountainous areas going on, and you can see the snowfall being on the southwestern side of the mountains, which is the dark side of the mountain, because the sun comes from the east and goes to the west, and it has a certain level of elevation and steepness, and so forth and so forth. So yeah, so that's quite neat. Now, as I said, what we want to do is to start playing around with this in terms of temperatures and see what that looks like, because that's also going to be interesting to see what that comes out. Okay, so yeah, let me pause there for now. I think it's interesting stuff. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. And thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe and share this video and all those nice things. And then what I'll do is, as always, after you have subscribed, after you have liked and shared this button, you'll do that for me. I will do a next video tutorial. And as I always say, I will see you on the other side.